All right. Would you rather get an extra 50K budget to spend on whatever you want in your studio or have a live active shark as one of your arms?
Wait, what? Would I prefer to have 50 grand or a shark arm?
Yeah.
Fucking 50 grand, dude. Why would I want a shark arm?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. This is your question. Like, shark arm?
Welcome to the Mr. Bill podcast. I'm his manager, Anand Harsh, broadcasting to you on, day 680 of quarantine. I've invented a new drink, which is 6 parts Everclear, 1 part ketchup. It's called the Extremely Bloody and Probably Already Dead Mary. Alcohol is my greatest friend and terrifying enemy in this bleak new existence. On a brighter note, Bill's guest today is a very old friend of his, Tom Cosm, producer and performer out of New Zealand. These guys have both been producing Ableton tutorials since way back in the day before it became cool, and they're just good friends, so they prattled on and on. Nice long episode for you. They've also released a bunch of music together, including the Entanglement series, which spawned my sad Will Smith meme in the Belegal Immigrants group, of which I am particularly fond. If you're not a member, you should join. Patreon subscribers will be thrilled to learn that we just recorded our first bonus episode for members of the Enabler and the Enabled tier and higher. If you want behind-the-scenes insights on Bill and his career, there's no way it could get more inside baseball than this episode and the ones to come. You still have the opportunity to subscribe and support the show and get in on those bonus eps. Visit patreon.com/MrBillsTunes, and we thank you very much for doing so. Go to MrBillsTunes.com to sign up as a hardcore Abletoneer. You get full access to Bill's project files and tutorials, and I know you'll be super inspired to do so after this conversation. So, without any further ado, I present to you Mr. Bill and Tom Cosm.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you are listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you're 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 listening to the Mr. Bill podcast. Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr.
Hey, you're listening to the Mr. Bill podcast.
Fuck yeah, man. Sick. Well, yeah, thanks for doing the podcast, man. I know it took us a while to get one going. I wanted to do one in Melbourne when I was there last with you, but the vibe wasn't right, I guess.
Yeah, what happened? Was that my fault or?
Yeah, I think you said you weren't. I don't know. Yeah, shit was a bit hectic. I think you said at the time you weren't feeling it or whatever, which is fine.
Yeah. It's I don't often talk to the internet very much at the moment, so I'm a little bit out of practice, to be honest. But
right, which is kind of weird because you were like the first guy to talk to the internet.
Yeah, one of the first, maybe in the sense of audio production. I'm sure there were many before me.
Right. Yeah, I remember being at a festival in New Zealand. It was like that Equinox festival or whatever that Muzz got me out for in 2010 or something like that. And I remember and I remember asking for like your blessing to do Ableton tutorials. I was like, oh man, would it be like bitey or weird like if I did Ableton tutorials? And you were like, no, fucking go for it.
I'm glad you remember what I said because I don't remember much from that particular event. That was when you jumped up and I think you started close to 200 BPM, I think, or your set or something, right?
Yeah, at that time I was like super into breakcore and like gabber and shit like that for whatever reason.
It was fantastic, man. I mean, those especially in New Zealand, the smaller parties, just me and Muzz. If you're not familiar, Muzz was my manager for quite a long time, and I think you've had a bit to do with him as well in the past.
Yeah, he managed me for like a year or something like that.
Yeah, true. And we were just kind of standing at the back when you started, just going, "This is going to be fucked," and it was great, man. Like just twisted, noisy core music, and yeah, people in New Zealand really give anything a go. I think it's just like the population, and if something's new there and something's good, everyone's going to give it a real good go. And it was just a cool vibe to see you jump up there and do your thing. And I've got some videos. I don't know if I've ever sent them to you, but I've actually got some videos of your set from that party in my archives, which are quite a treat to watch.
Nice. Yeah, maybe we could put them in the episode description or something.
I'll have to go through my my hard drive of, I call it my potential blackmail hard drive, but I've just got, hundreds of hours of footage of being that annoying guy with the camera, like all the way from since my teenage years, which is paying off. I'll pull out something at parties and people are like, "Oh, I'm so glad you got that." I'm like, "Yeah, you were calling me a fuckwit back then, but."
And you call it your potential blackmail hard drive, just like in case anyone fucks you over, you just have a bunch of shit to.
As a joke, I mean, I look through it occasionally, and man, there's some stuff in there. Like 15 years later, it's still not cooked properly. If I was to show that to the people in question or put it out there, not a good idea. But I just know, even if we're old people sitting in the retirement home, pull out a computer or whatever and put it on and be like, "Oh yeah, look at that. We used to really like fuck shit up and be loose cunts." So
yeah, that's like the 2020 equivalent of your dad or your mum pulling out the photo album or whatever.
I do. And my parents are rampant with that. I've got, oh man, the archives is something else. But I really enjoy showing those to people. I really enjoy taking people to my parents' house. Like people such as you would be really cool, or people who actually know quite a lot about me and how my brain works. Because apparently it really sheds a lot of light on me as a person. And, mum pulling out all the old photo albums and talking to my dad, who's a psychology professor who just likes ripping the shit into anything and arguing with people that I bring over. So, I always quite enjoy that experience.
Oh, so your dad's a psychologist?
He was. Back in the day, he was a professor of psychology at the Canterbury Uni in New Zealand, and then he moved on to working with I believe, kind of children, like really extreme cases of abuse and neglect and things like that. Like he was kind of doing a lot of research into getting kids with acute mutism to open up, and came up with some really interesting ideas, which I believe are still used today. Things like song and using puppetry to introduce the third person between the adult and the child and all this kind of stuff. So really hard to reach kids. So he did a lot of work with that, but he's always been a very inquisitive, no filtered type person, which is probably where I get that side of my personality from. And so if I bring someone over, especially someone who's, quite opinionated on a particular matter, whether it's politics or science or atheism or something, it makes for a good dinner conversation because he doesn't hold back.
Right.
But mum will be sitting there going, "Rod, stop, this is Tom's friend, leave him alone." And he's like, no. So I'd love to take you over to dinner one time.
Sounds like Ryan's dad. So for those listening, Ryan is the other guy from Electricado, and his dad's his whole family, his mum and his dad are both South African, and
right.
His dad's a South African barrister for like not criminal law, but like whatever, like workplace law, I guess, like big insurance-y type shit.
Right.
So he's a pretty educated dude. And it's just fun to hear his opinion on shit. But yeah, it's like that mixture of well-educated and also old and not giving a fuck. It's just that perfect mixture
absolutely.
of like pompous, like, doesn't, I don't know. They just love to argue. I love old people like that. The other person, I know a few people like that. Patrick Leonard, my buddy's friend who wrote Like a Prayer by Madonna and like wrote a bunch of, he played keys on like the Michael Jackson Thriller tour and shit like that. He's kind of the same. He's like this older dude who's, super fucking smart, obviously, and like knows what he's doing. But I feel like once you just get to a certain age, you just become you kind of go one or two ways. Hey, you just become like insanely argumentative, or you just go like, fuck it, just let your nuts hang out and watch the football or something.
It's I mean, the whole cliche, the less fucks you give kind of thing. I think that does hold a bit of ground with things. But I kind of find there's a point where one of those fucks that you give or you fail to give eventually is the fuck about giving fucks to give.
Right.
So, yeah. And I think the quicker you get to that point, like maybe the better you're doing in life. I'm not sure about that one.
That's probably
just
a pretty decent measure of success right there, to be honest.
Because I mean, I'm noticing it a lot. I mean, how about you? Like, you seem a lot more. I'm not going to say, maybe chill, but a little bit more content than when I first met you years ago. And I know we were, kind of like we were pretty rampant and doing lots of weird abstract things and pushing the limits with a lot of different things. But like are you finding you kind of whatever so let's say someone publicly criticizes you on a YouTube comment or something, unless you want to engage for trolling purposes.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm totally. So I think as far as YouTube stuff goes, I'm like 100% comfortable with people saying whatever at this point. And I don't know if that comes from getting older or if that just comes from overexposure, because it's just like I don't know, Ill Gates puts it a good way. He says, if you can't handle people saying mean shit to you on the internet, then the internet is no place for you to be famous, basically.
True. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, and I think like you get to I was gonna say like I just think you get to a point with it where after you've been trolled enough times or after enough people have just said dumb shit to you on the internet, eventually you're just like, fuck it, this is the internet, this is what it is, like, and you just stop taking it so seriously and just realize that it is that. And also like as a musician who's gotten both like semi big online and also semi big in the show circuit, I realize the massive dissonance, right? Like I go out and play shows to thousands of people and I put tutorials online that get viewed by thousands of people, and the only place where there's lots of people telling me who's fucked my mum recently is not at the shows, it's on the internet, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably an interesting branch between I mean, if you think back to when you were at the stage where you were building yourself, you were building your music, you were thriving for people to listen to it. You were one of the people that like, hey, listen to this track. I really want to get feedback, blah, blah, blah. I felt like there was a phase in my life, this is probably more in person than on the internet, but where obviously any kind of feedback was really valuable, but there hadn't yet been the experience or the frequency of, let's say, unconstructive criticism or kind of tall poppy-ish type stuff to come your way for you to be able to distinguish properly between, what is someone genuinely giving you good information on how they feel that you could better yourselves, whether you want to or not, whether you're writing music for yourself or for other people. And people, especially I've found in New Zealand, where people, are just kind of like, oh no, that was shit. Like that was probably the worst performance that I've ever heard you play. Maybe just because they feel that as you grow and as they watch you grow, that's a necessary thing in order to help keep your ego going in the right path. I don't know if that's kind of the definition of tall poppy or whatever, but it's just this kind of...
I think tall poppy syndrome is not when somebody criticizes you because they want you to be better. I think it's when they criticize you because they're jealous of you doing a fulfilling thing. Like this, it's kind of like, like if you see somebody, it's hard to say, right? Because you're not this kind of person. You're not like this lazy fucking person who sits around doing nothing and looks at other people and pays them out. It's a certain breed of person who does that. But how I imagine it, and I've been this person before, is, I haven't been this, but I've had glimpses of what it would be like, I think, to be that person. If you just sit around and you don't, like, you think all the time, like, oh, it'd be cool to go on a diet and lose weight, or like, it'd be cool to like maybe give up alcohol, or, it'd be cool to maybe start learning how to fucking write JavaScript or something like that. And you just don't do it because whatever reason, like, you just don't, because you're lazy or because you have anxiety about it, or for whatever reason.
A number of things, and some which are quite valid. Yeah.
Right. And then, for sure. And then you see someone who's like nailing it and doing a really good job at those things. If if you're that kind of person, like it can maybe just spike a response of like, well, fuck you. And like, no, I want to make you feel better because you're doing the fulfilling thing. And I kind of want to bring you down to my level sort of thing. I think that's just a certain type of person out there who's like that.
So that's kind of the tall poppy definition is to bring them down because they're doing something which you have failed to do for whatever reason.
I think at the core of it, it could be not even something that you've tried to do or want to do, but it's just the fact that that someone's doing something that's making them feel fulfilled and you're not.
Right. Which is usually the actual drive in the process of trying to get to the certain place. I mean, that's where the dopamine is, So, if I've seen people who, again, back when I started out, I tend to ignore all this shit these days, but yeah, I definitely got people who would just try to hinder my self-confidence. But I guess the tangent or the side quest of what I was talking about there is I seem to find, I could be wrong here, but I found there were people who weren't actually usually like that, who would give opinions on music, usually music, or usually the way I conducted myself in some other way, but I would identify it as false, which is a really risky thing to do by yourself if someone's giving you what seems like genuine constructive criticism, to actually be like, no, I don't actually believe this. I believe they're doing something else. But you do learn that skill, I think. And this particular style it's almost like, because it came from people who were quite close to me or were acquaintances that I had seen regularly at parties before I started playing. And it was like they were trying to make me not forget where my roots were to a degree, or like, they didn't want me to become perhaps a dickhead as I grew in my fame and my music got more popular. Perhaps they thought they might be doing a slight service and keeping things a bit more real, if that makes sense. Anyway, I kind of very, very quickly managed to start distinguishing the difference between that and constructive criticism, because constructive criticism and feedback is really valuable to me. I mean, whether I'm writing something for myself and other people like it, or I am actually writing something I would like the masses to enjoy, having that kind of information is just, at the minimum, extremely interesting to hear. I had a guy once who I played 2 parties in New Zealand, one weekend after the other, 2 festivals, and I was running short on time. So my set was pretty much the same, bar some tweaks of knobs and stuff, but things like the order of the stems I was playing, the order of the tracks, the build-ups, I might have some kind of delay effect I was playing over a synth line during a build-up, and I'd do the same thing. It would be slightly different, but it was the same set. And the first party, this person came up and said, this was one of the least enjoyable they've heard, and what's going on, like, do you need to take some time to yourself, and rah rah rah. And then the next weekend when I played this set, they came up and they just went, oh, that was just immaculately better, like you just did such a good job with that one. They didn't say, there was a kind of a tone of what they'd portrayed to me for the bad set I had taken into heart and really focused on, and then produced something based on that comment, which I hadn't done at all. And it was just, that was kind of the moment where I was like, yeah, it's this really interesting kind of filter that you have to develop quite early. And then you start going on the internet and, everyone's fucked your mum. And
it's funny, man. I've had pretty similar experiences like that too, where somebody has like, where you change, and this still happens to me, right? Like I'll send music to a friend who I know is very good at mix downs or something, right? And they'll just be like, oh, there's way too much 5K, way too much. Or like, that snare is way too loud. It's fucking piercing. And like, they'll say things like in this extremely excessive way, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll change things just a tiny bit, like remove a little bit of 5K, turn the snare down by like a decibel, send it back, and they'll be like, that's way better. And it's just sometimes like these very small tweaks to some people, right, can mean a world of difference on the other side. I'm not saying that that's what the case was with this particular guy that you're talking about, but I've had that experience too. And I've also had the experience you're talking about where you literally can show someone something twice and they can have 2 different experiences with it internally themselves on 2 different occasions. But yeah,
there's also... also, environmental factors, which include what particular drugs they're on when they're listening to them, things like that. I mean, that guy could have been on a 4-day bender and he was coming down while he was listening to it. And then the next weekend, he could have just like popped a couple of pills and listened to it, so there's all that as well.
Right.
No one's written a book about this shit. No one's written a book about this shit. There needs to be a manual. We got to learn this stuff by ourselves. It's a hard life.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's that useful to. I mean, it depends whose comment you're taking, right? But it's sort of like some guy at a party who's clearly fucking been awake for days on end. I'm not sure how valuable their opinion is. Whereas it's like if it's your favorite artist ever, like I don't know, Boris Brejcha or Tipper or something like that, giving you criticism, I think you can maybe put a little bit more weight on that. But that's the thing is like I kind of look at most people commenting on YouTube, especially if they're commenting something negative, as something like that, like just some weird. And I don't want to discredit people from commenting on my YouTube videos. It's not like I actively read these comments being like, all these people are pieces of shit. But like, I definitely, especially if someone's saying something negative, just view them as like someone whose opinion I just do not give a shit about at all.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the statistics behind you to say you're going, and I mean, you're going in a very sure and steady direction. And I'm assuming it's the one that you want, or one of the ones that you want. So, when you do get those ones, I think it's okay to dismiss them. But I mean, if there's still situations where someone might bring up something which I think is actually quite valid and actually spend a lot of time thinking about it. And yeah, I'm quite lucky, and I think you would be too. Your fan base seems to be a bit more, I don't know what the word is. Do you have a word for what your fan base is? If you could give it a kind of a genre or a name or a flavor?
I'd say it's pretty similar to yours in the sense that it's a lot of producers. But I would say that there's also, it's starting to slowly become a somewhat bass music community driven fan base. But it also started out not that way. It started out as very much producers and IDM people. And I think it just really depends on like what you're doing as to like what kind of fan base you'll foster, right?
I think I think what I'm kind of getting at is, from your Discord and from your YouTube's comments, and I think it reflects on you being a very incredibly open, unfiltered person. I think there's a lot more sarcasm, a lot more kind of boisterous kind of behavior and meme culture and stuff that people tend to, like I think I joined your server last and everyone had renamed their names to Bill or something or something like that. It was just, I think it's great. But I don't get too many comments on my content where people are kind of, taking the piss. And if they are, it's like, really clearly over the top. I don't know whether I like it or not. I just notice a slight difference in that. Because I hey, here's a question. So do you listen to your tracks on SoundCloud and follow the comments as you're listening quite often?
I used to. I haven't done that in a while. Usually what I'll do these days is I'll put a release out and then maybe like a month down the track, I'll click on it and have a look at some comments. Same with YouTube. I try not to look at them too much. I mean, I'm not like completely absolved from ego, obviously. Like I do look at my comments, but not like I used to, for sure.
Gotcha. It's one of my favorite pastimes is going through, excuse me, old tracks and just reading the comments as people have left them on the track. And obviously people are just like, oh, wow, fucking cool. There's those ones and they're cool. But, there's people who kind of just a little hidden gem where somebody will mention something about a thing that I spent a lot of work on that I don't think anyone picked up on. And it's actually, I really still quite enjoy that. I mean, listening to my music over and over is, it's not something I do all the time because I've already heard it heaps, but I just find that really enjoyable. And I'm wondering if other producers do it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely listen to my music a lot, especially my whips. Like I have a giant whips folder that's like hundreds of tunes and I constantly listen to it. Like every day I'll go in there and listen to something from it basically because I'm constantly trying to, just listen through it, slowly figure out what it is I like about all these songs and what it is I don't like about all these songs. And then one day I'll just be like, oh, fuck, I've got to work on that again right now. And then I'll work on it and slowly, chip away at these. It's like this huge body of work, like hundreds of songs that I'm just slowly chipping away at. And every now and then an album will fall out of it, sort of thing.
Definitely. I'm definitely at that stage as well. I think I went through, I've probably got about 30 or 40 whips in my project folder, but I've got, a good 7, 8 or 9, which are probably between 50 to 80% completion. And just kind of recently went, this would be a really nice album,
Yeah, that's how you do it, I reckon, is you just sort of work and work and work, and then eventually you're just like, oh shit, there's an album sitting here, that's pretty cool. And then I've put that in its own separate folder, find all the project files, put those in their own separate folder, and then just sort of compartmentalize it from the rest of your sort of larger, just random work folder or whatever.
And I think it's something you might have shown me a few years back, is there's stuff sitting in there which, I know I'm never going to finish, but there had to have been 1 or 2 really good ideas in there. Just go in there, render them out as a wave and chuck them in there as a wave file, like, nuke the rest of it, or not nuke the rest of it, archive the rest of it, and just have that, and then be like, oh, I can probably drop this into here, and boom, that's kind of the missing piece of a puzzle.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's I did that with Apophenia. There's a bunch of songs on that album called like Composite 4 and Composite 11 and stuff like that, and all of the tracks that are named that way is because they're just composites of like many other files. So there's like there'll be like, there would have been like 4 or 5 whips that I had in a folder somewhere that were just all in the key of F or whatever, and all had like a somewhat similar vibe. And then I would just drag all the ALSs into another Ableton file and then just sort of compile them all into a song.
It's like a big Frankenstein type thing.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting because like the skill of making the song became different. It no longer became about like, well, what do I do next? And like, how do I weave, these melodies with this bass line? It just became simply like, how do I make all of these songs fit together? Sort of like a mini mix, but like really heavily produced.
And I think for us and some other producers who, I think we have a slightly similar style in the sense that we do tend to change, mid-track quite often. I mean, mine stems out of just, I don't even know, but, I like to have at least 3 genres in a track. So It kind of works out for the best in that kind of sense.
Yeah, I mean, it probably comes from like just listening to DJ sets a lot too, right? And then being like, oh, that would be cool to just produce these little DJ sets into tracks essentially.
Absolutely.
You kind of get that in dubstep songs these days a lot. So there's in literally every dubstep song of the last few years, drops always have what's called a switch, where it's like 16 bars of one drop, and then it literally just kind of changes and there's like almost a second drop in. It's like related obviously to the first one, but it's almost like very different. And then the second drop is kind of the same. So it's like per song you get like 4 drops sort of thing with these switches.
I like that. I like that kind of stuff. I think that's really
me too.
cool.
I mean, I think it's refreshing on the ear because it instantly engages your ear to be like, oh fuck, there's a lot of different shit going on. It just doesn't become gray because there's a lot of contrast, right? And contrast is super important in music. Yeah, I think it's a fine thing to do for sure. I wanted to go back. There's one more thing I wanted to ask when we're talking about the people's opinions on things, and that's that you do a lot of software stuff, and I think people's opinions in that world is like completely different to people's opinions in the music world, right? Because in the music world, it's all subjective, and it's like, one person might not like a distorted kick drum, and another person might think it's the start of a new genre. Whereas in software, it's like your shit either works on someone's computer or it doesn't.
Sorry, repeat that last sentence.
I was saying in software, it's like your software either works or it does not. And therefore it's like your opinion, it's like not even really opinionated at that point, right? So you kind of have to filter through everyone's thoughts and messages in regards to the software that you make. And that can be like a completely frustrating and crazy thing to do, right?
It can. And I mean, we've talked about this before as well as, I obviously need some kind of like user experience person to oversee the things that I put out there. Because, Yeah, I do tend to. I mean, I have a bit of a problem with starting things and like making the shiny parts and then kind of being like, here you go, here's like some nice raw kind of utility to play with, but no real intuition in how it can be used in various different creative ways. So yeah,
It's tough with software, man. It's yeah. The thing is with software, it's a lot of it's not glamorous for sure. But it's just yeah. It seems like your purposes and how you write a song. For instance, leakage, right? It's like it's a very specific thing to your workflow and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I just could not understand it at all and couldn't seem to get it working with stuff.
Yeah, and but you gave some really valuable feedback, which I listened to and I think is really, really, really interesting. Which to sum it all up for people listening was to get rid of the majority of the actual parameters that you can control and just have kind of little random mutate buttons and stuff like that. And just so I mean, that adds to the excitement of someone just opening it up and being able to just like get results straight away rather than having to learn something like an instrument. Yeah, I definitely want to revisit that when I've got time. So, I mean, what I've been doing a lot of, recently is making software, making Mac stuff for people as, kind of contract jobs and having very specific visions from that person, not necessarily instructions on how they want it to be and what functions they want to have, but it's for a particular person who has a particular thing that they want to achieve. And I'm finding that a lot quite enjoyable because I don't have to worry too much about the user experience in part of things because I know what they want to have control over ultimately in the end. And this is just for an individual. But when I'm doing something like really broad, like leakage or something, well, for example, the downgrade pack, which I put out, which was, I believe, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, can't remember, just racks for Ableton Live that pretty much consisted only of native Ableton audio effects, but did things to very lo-fi hip-hop kind of stuff. That would have a bit of a kind of a tape wobble and then add some noise in different ways and just some band restrictions with EQs to make it sound like an old radio and crackles and all that kind of stuff. I made sure that, all of the devices were hidden and there were just the 8 macro knobs. And that is by far the most popular thing that I've put out as, people being like, oh, this is awesome, I can use this. And, that just made total sense. It's like, I don't need to give people, like what kind of, how many millisecond range do you want the randomness to sway and what frequency do you want it to sway up and down? It's just like, here is a sway knob, things like that.
Right. It's kind of like when you open up a plugin, like, I don't know, Sound Goodizer, right, in Fruity Loops. It's literally just one big knob that you turn up or down and it just makes your shit sound fatter or less fat. And
yeah, I mean, that's the daddy of it, right? That's
right. And it's like, obviously it's doing more, like as you're turning it up, it's, removing certain, nasal mid frequencies, boosting bass, boosting highs, adding compression, probably adding a bit of like soft clipping saturation. Like it's doing a lot of stuff as you turn that knob up. But from the end user experience, like you don't give a shit. You just put it on and turn it up. Like you don't need to know like exactly what saturation algorithm is working in there and stuff like that. And
as far as kind of from a education perspective, stuff like that's really, really good. I mean, like what I've found, over the years is, when you're starting off, if you're starting a new course or starting a new series or something, if you can get excitement straight away, because, there's a whole bunch of boring shit people have to learn. But if you can get these excitement checkpoints along the way, it just drives people to just power through the boring shit. If you can put a sound goodizer on something and just make whatever people are doing sounding really fat straight away, they're more likely to, play with their, drum loop for an extra half an hour or something, I think it's like a really, if you can carefully craft kind of checkpoints where people are just like, whoa, fuck yeah, that's awesome. Here's a knob that does cool shit to what I've already done. I think you're onto a bit of a winner as far as like keeping people retained, I think.
Oh no, for sure.
I'm working on something at the moment with that. So
yeah, nice. No, I totally agree. I had that experience when I was teaching at Berkeley. I was teaching 2 classes and one was this like Masters of Sound Design class, which is, they were like all pretty knowledgeable people. And then the other one was like essentially a business students class who were doing a business degree at Berkeley, but also needed to take some more electives or whatever to make their degree happen.
Gotcha.
And so I was teaching a bunch of business students how to use Ableton. And I'd sort of just like, rattle off how you put a beat together. I'd be like, all right, so, you put a kick in the sampler, but if you want to make your own kick, here's how you do it, and show them how to do it really quickly. And then be like, and then, we need like a bass line. So I'd, show them how to load up a device and, load MIDI up and then, talk about a quick overview of bass synthesis. And then, but the thing is like talking about, it's like way too much shit. Like essentially what I found I needed to do for anybody to retain anything was basically just be like, here's how to load a bunch of presets up and play stuff in on a keyboard. Totally.
Like I've done a bit of a handful of kind of workshops for, I did some for Headspace, which is I believe government funded kind of music
like
school for
meditation app, isn't it?
They have their own meditation app, but they have kind of maybe like youth education centres around Australia where they get kind of teens in and stuff. I'm not sure if it's people who need a bit of direction or whatever, but I've gone in there and it's kind of maybe 13 to 17 is the age range, and it's usually male. And the best thing to do is just be like, here are 16 drum pads, here is a mic, and then one guy will sit down and just like make a beat. The other guy will start, vibing. You'll see somebody who's like into like making wubs. And next thing you know, like they're making a dubstep track, and then you can start breaking it down as to what's happening. But that's, give a bunch of 16-year-old boys some pads and a microphone with some drum kits, and yeah, you're sorted.
Right. So the thing that you were alluding to that you were making is, I'm assuming, if I were to take a guess, some sort of Max device that kind of shows people basic things and walks them through the process of learning something.
Are you talking about what I just mentioned before, as in
yeah, you said you were working on something in relation to this concept.
Oh, well what happened is I made a template for someone who is a very hands-on person. They've got a mic, they've got a synth, they just want to record loops. They don't have any means to make any kind of drum beats and stuff. So I just loaded up a whole bunch of different drum beats, a few different kind of atmospheric pad sounds, set up some tracks, kind of 6 audio tracks, which were easy to just arm and input stuff coming from their external devices. And on each track just had I made a really basic rack, which you could just cycle through delay, reverb, some auto filter type stuff. And it took me about an hour, and I went over and have seen what they've done with it, and they've written 8 tracks with it. They have no idea how to get the session loops into arrangement view, which is obviously the next logical step. But I'm going, there's really something going on here, and so I'm kind of I've crafted this. I still really like the challenge thing. I know you've done some stuff recently with setting people challenges, but these particular challenges it's kind of a 14-day thing, and each one is maybe 10 to 20 minutes, and you actually kind of build your own template on how you want to work. So the first one is like, here are a bunch of pre-made samples in session view, and you just click play and you just make your own combination of them. And the challenge is to make one kind of cool loop out of, let's say, 10 of each kick, snare, pad, synth, bass samples. And then from there, it's like, okay, let's record those into arrangement view, or let's start playing with really basic effects. So each one kind of moves you forward, and it lets you kind of save what you consider to be a cool thing that you have found. And then by the end of the 14 days, you've sort of got this session view template, which is very specifically designed for how you would like to work for jamming. And yeah, of course, the secondary big component is moving that into arrangement view, kind of recording from session view, and then kind of moving things around, phasing, phrasing, drops, transitions, progression, and that sort of thing. And I think, I think it's going to be pretty cool there. It's all down in text at the moment. I'm a little bit too busy at the moment with other stuff to to produce it, but I reckon within the next month, it's going to be the next thing I put out as far as an educational resource goes.
Cool. Yeah, this episode will probably come out right around the same time then.
What's that?
This episode will probably come out just around the same time, I reckon.
Oh, perfect. Oh, that'll be great. Well, let me make up a URL. No, you just Google my name. You'll find it.
So is it using Mac stuff or is it just going to be Ableton stuff?
If it does use Mac stuff, it will be very simple things like setting people timers. So just having a little pop-up timer saying, okay, you've got 10 minutes to try and do this. Put a little bit of pressure on. I find a little bit of pressure helps people kind of, stop spending 20 minutes, getting the space of their snare and the spectrum kind of right, things like that. I don't think I'll use too many Max things. The one Max thing that I've thought about doing, and I've actually talked to a few people about this, is let's say you've made a loop, whether it's in arrangement view or session view. Let's say you've made your 16-bar loop. I mean, that's what I tend to do. I tend to go to bar 32 or 64 and then make like a nice full loop and then go backwards to make kind of the intro leading up to it and then forwards. But when you've got that kind of 16-bar loop or 32-bar loop, which is kind of the substance of your track, it would be really cool to have a Max for Live device that kind of pops up and you've kind of got, I don't know, let's say like an 8x64 grid of buttons or slots where you can kind of like drag the loops that you've made and make your progression in a very basic kind of overview of arrangement views. So, like you could just leave 2 slots out for when there's a breakdown and put them back again. And you click a button and it kind of like populates your entire arrangement view with the loops that you've done. And then obviously there's a lot of blanks that you'd have to fill in, but I think it would be, people seem to get really stuck on that point of wanting to expand their loop out and adding progression to their track. And I find a lot of whips tend to just be, 32-bar loops that haven't got any progression. But, I find when I make that 32-bar loop, and even if I just have white noise building up and then a quick tom roll and a crash dropping into that, instantly I'm excited again. I want to start working on the progression. And I kind of want to just have something that will help people get that feeling straight away without being like, oh fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah, I find I get stuck for a few reasons. One of which is once I make that 32-bar loop or whatever, I want to make it sound as good as it possibly can. So I'll just spend like an hour or something just cleaning it up and just adding little bits and pieces to it until it sounds super polished. And then it's by that point I've sort of lost the mental space that I was in to make the loop in the first place.
Totally.
Whereas I find that if I just don't care too much about that shit at first, it just like as fast as I can sort of build the loop out into a song, the song will sound like shit and there'll be like no transitions or anything like that. But at least it'll have some sort of like linear progression that sort of makes sense melodically and musically. And then from there I can kind of adjust. And I found that that's been the only way that I seem to be able to get songs finished. Cause it's like, I've noticed recently, it's almost like if I start a song and I write, even 2 minutes of it and then go like, it's pretty good. I'll stop there for today and come back to that another time. It always just sits there for like a year, just in that 2-minute state. Just because I find it hard to get back to the mental place again of where I was when I started it.
I definitely noticed that, and that's why if I'm on a roll. So I haven't actually been producing much over the last couple of years, like not through lack of enjoyment of writing music, just because of the really cool opportunities I've had to work with other people. But just recently I've been doing it again. And I find if I'm on a roll, I just don't stop. I fight through sleep debt. I cancel everything else because, it's just so hard for me to get back into that zone. I need a good couple of hours of being really excited, and then it's just flowing. And the idea of just like, I better go to sleep now, and you're just stopping that completely. And when you wake up in the morning, you've got to restart everything and all that stuff again. So yeah, I try to roll as long as I possibly can until the ideas are just sucking completely, or I'm falling asleep in my chair.
It's cool that you recognize like how important it is to juice that vibe once you're on it, because I find I'm pretty fucking bad at being like, I'm right in the zone right now, and then something else will just come up and I'll be like, fuck it, I'll just come back later and make music then. But yeah, is kind of important, I think. I don't know if I'd go as far to just not sleep or anything, but yeah, I definitely realize
Well, I mean,
the
I
importance.
wouldn't like stay for 3 days straight. I mean, there is a point where I notice my sleep deprivation does start interfering with the creative process, and that's when I start doing. I find I start doing little things like little fills and little glitches and little tweaks. Like I don't actually do any kind of like levels of sound design stuff. I just use my little extra energy to add some phrasing and add some progression into things, and then that's usually when I'm like, okay, no more good ideas are coming here. And I'll call it quits at this point. And you can see most of those when I do kind of like 9, 10, 11, 12 hour live streams, you'll see near the end of them, like anything I try to do, which is kind of creative is, pretty not good.
Damn, 12-hour live streams, that's brutal. I did an 8-hour one the other day on the ADSR YouTube channel. Basically, they hit me up. Yeah, so they hit me up and they were like, we'd like to get, they messaged my management email, which is just my email, but my manager also has access to it. And they're like, we would like to get Mr. Bill to do a stream on the YouTube channel. We can pay $125 an hour. And
oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, we'll
give them my details, man.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was just like, cool. How long can I stream for? And they were like, oh, as long as you want. And I was like, cool. I'll do a 24-hour stream then, I guess, if you're paying me $125 an hour. And they were like, let's cap it at 8. So
yeah, that's still good though.
Yeah, it's still good. I mean, I had a fun time and it seemed like people were engaged, but yeah, I've always wanted to do a 24-hour one. I've never done it yet, but I think that would be the next logical step.
The thing I've got to watch with those though is after a while, because there is quite a lot of administrative boring stuff. I think I was listening to you and Slink in the last couple of, or whenever you did that podcast and you're talking about, there's a lot of boring shit that you don't want to do on stream. And it's not that interesting, but, I tend to do it anyway. And that's when I start just kind of interacting with the chat a bit and talking about life stories and things and whatever comes up. And I think that's when you've got to kind of start watching your sentences, because someone can just clip it and it can go out of context and you're a little bit sleep deprived and, not watching what you're saying.
Well, people can sort of do that shit anyway. I mean, it's at this point, like, somebody like you or I has enough of our voice online that I think it's pretty easy now to build a profile of someone's voice and just type sentences into a text box and hit enter and it spits it out. Have you heard of
just go for it.
Have you heard of
go for it, I say.
Lyrebird.ai or whatever it's called? Have you used that?
It rings a bell.
So it's just a web app.
Tell me.
Yeah, it's a web app that just gives you text sentences, and it just gets you to say all the text sentences into the web app, and then eventually, after you've said all of them, it's built up enough of a profile that you can just type whatever in and hit go, and it spits it out in your voice.
Oh man! I mean, then you just need like software that can convert everything that you've ever said online into a kind of a directory that kind of understands how you think and what your answers would be. And then you could just do podcasts with people and they don't have to be there.
No, I don't have to be there.
No, you and me don't have to be there. We could just be like the Bill and Mr. Bill and Tom Cosm podcast, and we just set it away and then boom, it's like exactly what we'd talk about anyway.
For all people know, we've done that for this podcast, and that's what they're listening to right now. And they'll never know the difference as to whether or not we ever had this conversation.
We have to be careful though, because I haven't been programmed with very good Stack Overflow protection. So the more meta we get, the more likely this is to crash.
That's a good point. Yeah, we should stop going down this rabbit hole so we don't crash ourselves. So I learned about Stack Overflow the other day, and it basically seems like fucking the most pretentious place ever. Other than
you're talking about the website.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing to find yourself in that place?
Just dating Yarn, which is she's always on there.
I understand.
Yeah, but so actually, I think I found a more pretentious community than Stack Overflow, and that is the home brewing community. I started recently getting into like wanting to brew beer and stuff like that, and bought a bunch of shit to brew beer basically, which is I'm super excited about.
Yeah, cool.
And I pretty much realized that the home brewing community is like Stack Overflow if everyone was drunk.
Good. I like it. Hey, have you talked to Muzz about that?
About Stack
Brewing.
Overflow? Oh, no, I haven't actually.
No.
Yeah, that's right. He's a brewer, isn't he? Or he runs a beer
Dude,
company.
he would love to talk to you. I mean, straight away, I can tell you he's going to be like, right, here's what we're going to do. Mr. Bill, branded beer, release October this year. Here's 3 options. What's your address? I'm going to send you a whole bunch of straight away. But, he's so passionate about beer. And he's, not that I drink beer, but he's, sounds like he's really fucking good at it.
Yeah, I mean, I know he did the delicious stuff, and Caleb did a bunch of the branding, and yeah, Muzz is a hustler for sure. Speaking of which, let's talk about that. You used to be fairly into drinking, and then you stopped. And I'm I feel like going down the same route a little bit, to be honest. I've been massively into drinking for the last few years, and so far this year, I think, how many months have we been in? 5 or 5.5? Out of that, I've 4 months. No.
You mean the isolation type stuff, or
I don't know, just how many months have happened this year? I guess 5.
yeah.
And out of that, I've probably drank for maybe 1 of those months, which is for me crazy. Like usually I would.
As in succession, or like what do you mean?
I did 3 months in succession, and then I'm currently at like in 1 month again or something like that. And it's not even really like I'm trying to not drink at this point. It's just sort of like I just don't really feel like it. And I don't know if that's because I'm inside all the time and don't have a lot of reason to drink to like lubricate myself for social situations or anything. But yeah, I don't know. I just haven't been feeling the urge to get hammered as much as I used to.
Well, it seems like, if you subtract the kind of the social lubricant element out of it, from what I've seen and slightly experienced, people drink for heaps of different reasons. And heaps of different reasons, like it's really, really personal for each person. So yeah, maybe maybe something in your environment's changed where it's not working out for you. I mean, the other killer is, as you get older, hangovers stop being headaches and they turn into like full-on panic attacks and thinking you're going to die and things like that. So, that was a big one for me. I don't know if you've reached that stage yet.
Kind of. I mean, I've had a few things, right? There's obviously the sort of what I guess you call the DTs, the death trembles. Where the next
trembles.
Yeah, have you never had that? And the next day after a big night of drinking, you're shaky, like very shaky.
Well, what I got, hypnagogic jerks?
Yeah,
Right.
so it's like where the hypnagogic state is the one just before you go to sleep, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I think most people can relate to it. The feeling of falling when you're going to sleep and then you suddenly wake up with a shock. It's like an electric shock, or sometimes it's accompanied with sound, like a bang. I think it's exploding head syndrome or whatever.
Yeah.
It's something that I've had quite bad all my life. I say bad, but it's not like too bad. But it started happening to me during the daytime when I wasn't sleepy. And after a while, I found out that it was happening, especially after I'd been drinking the night before. And I'll be on a tram or something, and it is usually accompanied by a sound that I can best describe it as someone hitting a giant gong fed through a bit reduction plugin. So it's really terrible metallic digital white noise, and it's quite shocking. And it makes me stop for kind of 5 seconds or so. I lose my perception of reality for a second, and not so much these days, but when it was happening and I didn't know what was going on, that would usually really set a tone for quite a while, because I would be quite uncomfortable with what just happened, and it would be quite anxiety inducing. And I actually went to see a few doctors about it, because I was like, oh, what's going on with my brain, man? And yeah, they're just saying, oh, it's this hypnagogic jerk thing. Some people just get it more so than others. And it's not going to kill you, and it can be quite comical. But when I stopped drinking, they went away. So the tremor thing for sure, but it was these things that were really, really getting me. Like there was one time when I was after a heavy drinking session where I had one that took me so far kind of, disassociated from what was going on, that when I came back, it's probably the only panic attack I think I've ever had. And, if I had the ability to call an ambulance, I would have. I thought I was going to die. And that was the day I was like, right, I'm going to go and find out what these things are. And, fortunately, they've completely stopped with the drinking.
Nice. Yeah.
Good. I mean, not completely. I get them occasionally. So if you're ever with me in person and like I suddenly just lose the plot and I'm just staring at you and looking around like I've just done nitrous or something, that's probably what it is. And you're welcome to laugh.
All right. Yeah, I used to have a shitload of panic attacks actually, like when I was younger, and it had a lot to do with smoking weed and drinking lots of coffee and not sleeping properly and having a shitty diet and never doing exercise. And I found like sort of when I adjusted all those things, the panic attacks kind of went away. It's just like, I mean, exercise was a huge one for sure.
Totally. I mean, exercise has the splash damage of, I shouldn't have a coffee right now. I'm about to go for a jog, or, I've got to exercise tomorrow. I better not, like stay up all night. And that kind of exercise seems to be a pretty good solution to sorting out all those little things. And what you just described as a package sounds like an anxiety attack. It's like the anxiety attack starters kit right there.
Yeah, pretty much. That was like just my lifestyle from fucking, 17 until 23 or something like that. It was just like heinous amounts of like smoking like 50 cones a day and eating nothing but Hungry Jacks, which is, if anyone's not from Australia, that is Australian Burger King.
Totally.
So apparently the reason why that's the case is because somebody already owned the rights to Burger King in Australia. And then when they tried to launch in Australia, they were like, sorry, we can't do it. Some guy in South Australia has already bought that name here. So
fucking smart guy.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, I mean, this was a long time ago, I think. So instead they launched in Australia as Hungry Jacks with just a complete new branding. So yeah, and it's not even the same menu, which is funny to me. It's like they didn't even fucking, why wouldn't they just keep everything the same but just change the name to like Burger King or something like that?
What would be the OCA or the Australian abbreviation of Burger King, like we do with Macca's?
Like Burgie Chief or something.
Burgie King. I can't do it. I'm not Aussie.
Fucking Burgie Chief.
So back to the drinking thing. You've been thinking about what, like cutting down or getting rid of it, or?
So I'm at the point now where I'm just not drinking really, like just at all really. And I am instead have decided that I'm only going to drink beer that I brew myself, which is inherently going to put a limiter on me hard because I can only brew so much beer. And it's also just a lot of fucking work. Like I'm going to really, have to work for the beer now. So,
I think that sounds pretty positive. I mean, you're like kind of having a drink as giving yourself a reward for like, experiencing the creation that you've come up with.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I'm right at the point now where it's sort of like, so for instance, right, like I just explained to you like how I was having panic attacks and a lot of it seemed weed related when I was like 20, right? But the thing is if I had have just stopped smoking weed like a year earlier and just like instead curbed my habit, I probably could have had a pretty healthy relationship with weed throughout my life. But instead I just busted the receptors in my brain that accept THC or whatever and just fucked them. And now I just can't really smoke weed.
Well, you definitely hit a point, I mean, I'll say from personal experience and from what I've seen other people have, it's very suddenly becomes quite a terrifying experience. Like it was, a pretty common practice for me as well in my early 20s. And then probably over the period of 2 or 3 weeks, it just went from fun to terrifying. Like it terrifying to the point where I'm like, I'm never going to touch that again.
Right.
Which is a lie because probably, what country I'm in? Australia. Whatever. It's like, I'll still try it, maybe once or twice a year at the moment. And it's always by myself. I don't like doing it in social situations. And I'll do it and I'll listen to music and I'll just, I've had all positive experiences. I probably gave myself like a 10-year break because it was actually that terrifying. I'm like, I never want that again. But I think like as a more of a mature adult, And I do notice sometimes if I do it, I can feel all of these responsibilities and things that I should have taken care of starting to sneak in. But a lot of the mindfulness stuff that I've done, especially with the quitting drinking and my current practice, I can kind of see them coming and being like, oh, hello, and kind of let them pass and maybe even have a little bit of fun with the ideas as they dance around trying to get into my brain.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, so going back to what I was saying, I feel like I'm sort of right on the precipice of that same problem with drinking, right? Like you said, you drank up to the point where it started to become terrifying. I think I'm like right before that point, and that's why I want to curb it now, because I don't want to lose the ability to drink and enjoy it, because it's something I really enjoy, right? So,
good on you.
Yeah, so I want to do it for that reason, but also, I just don't think it's serving me that well anymore. But to talk to what you said about like your current practice, which I assume you're talking about meditating. So I started, you told me to start doing the Sam Harris meditation stuff, and I was already a big fan of Sam and listening to his podcast and stuff for a long time. Right. And I've found the meditation stuff super beneficial, to the point now where actually in the last, and this could also be another reason why I'm not really drinking, is because I actually did start smoking weed again, like after a 10-year break as well, basically.
Right.
Probably like a couple of months ago or something. And I'm smoking pretty weak weed, like it's 1-to-1 THC, CBD sort of stuff. But I've found it just hasn't fucked with me mentally or anything.
And this is kind of corresponds to when you started practicing meditation? Do you think it correlates? You think it correlates to that?
It really just correlates to the fact that Jan brought a Pax pen here and it's just been here, I think. But I mean, definitely I think there's been a few times where I could feel myself like potentially going down that anxiety hole, and having some form of ability to be aware of my feelings and just treat everything as something that is just a tinge of consciousness, to be able to sort of curb it a little bit.
Yeah. I love watching feelings come in. I mean, the first experience I had with mindfulness isn't actually doing it, because I was a bit of an eye roller, and I think everybody is to a certain degree, especially with words like meditation and stuff. Was when I decided to quit drinking, and I was at a stage where it wasn't severely impacting my life in a negative way, and there was a lot of cons as well, such as social lubricant and kind of nulling my introvertism when I went out and stuff like that. But I could definitely see it becoming like a negative part of my life. And I went to see a woman. I'll start from the start. I went to the Lifeline website, right? So Lifeline in Australia is kind of a helpline if you are distressed mentally, or someone around you is mentally distressed, and you can call them up and anonymously chat with someone. And I was drunk and I was watching television, and there was an ad saying they had a new anonymous web chat thing. And just being a geek, I was only interested in how they'd implemented the web chat. And I went there and was just like, oh, thing popped up, and they're like, oh, hello, what's up? And I was like, it was just like, oh, I'm drunk and probably drinking a little bit too much. And man, they just got me, man. They got me talking. And the next thing I know, they'd teamed me up with this company which kind of matches you with a therapist or psychologist or whatever level of help you need. And they're like, hey, there's this woman who's close by, and she's really technical and scientific, but she's also done a lot of work with mindfulness. And I just went along, and she was just perfect. She got me into doing some very basic mindfulness stuff, the living in the present kind of thing, which everyone always hears about, but when you actually do it, you kind of like, huh. And the reason we did that was it's called urge surfing, where if there is a desire to drink for whatever reason, you can kind of just get yourself into the present and observe what those urges feel like as they come. And at the start, you kind of see what they do to you until they actually take over and you get the urge and you drink or whatever. But, after a while, you can kind of let them come in and see their behavior and what they want, and eventually kind of, shovel them off and say, off you go. And that was my very first experience with mindfulness. And I have actually used that quite a lot with other things in my life, whether it comes to being angry or generally anxious or just all kinds of dumb things. Like I get quite overwhelmed with choice when I'm shopping. So if I'm buying toilet paper, I'm like, oh, fuck, there's like 50 brands of toilet paper and it's all doing one thing. What do I do? It's just like, just chill out. I'll get that one, shit like that. So that was my first experience with it. And it really significantly helped with the drinking side of things.
Yeah, it's funny because
story.
I've actually noticed that basically a similar mindset has kind of coincided with not drinking as much as well. And I haven't done it through, that definitely hasn't been a very conscious thing, which is funny because like mindfulness is like the most conscious thing. But yeah, I think I kind of inherently started to do that maybe like a year ago or something, because I was going through like a bunch of bullshit in a relationship and I was constantly feeling angry or mainly I was just feeling like angry and trapped, I think, in the relationship. And I started doing it a lot with that feeling. Like when that feeling would come in, I just sort of like sit with the feeling of anger and just try and observe what it actually was rather than letting it consume me and act upon it or whatever.
Absolutely. And I mean, as a technical person like you are and I am, I love deconstructing things, whether it's, like an old radio I find on the ground or, what the fuck is jealousy? What the fuck is anger? So if you can actually, make it a conscious, turn it from a subconscious negative emotion into something that you can like dissect and, it can be actually quite interesting and fun. And you kind of, well, for me personally, I kind of I'll leave it feeling calm for a start and feeling quite enlightened, I guess, to a very small degree.
There's a huge like benefit to it for sure. I think if you can, like for instance, I was feeling a bit weird this morning and then meditated first thing in the morning, which I should really do every morning. I've been for the last few weeks meditating last thing at night before I go to bed, but I think it's a way better thing to do in the morning,
right?
Because it kind of like sets the tone for your whole day. And then I just noticed like all day today I've just been kind of, as soon as something comes in, whether it's a feeling or even another interesting thing about Sam Harris's meditation is that quite a lot of it is open-eyed, meaning you'll sit there with your eyes open and then try and lose the concept of like the shapes of things and stuff like that and just try and see it all as like a 2D flat of color and try and realize that this is just all light reflection and imagery coming into your consciousness, and none of it is actually, it's no different to a feeling coming into your consciousness or a sound coming into your consciousness or anything like that. I think that's a really interesting way of looking at feelings as well.
Totally. Like all these little kind of hacks to try and get you to just get a flavor of what it's like to be one with everything, just to pull that line out of my ass. But, just kind of, like the kind of becoming, feeling like you're part of whatever conscious space is currently around you. Or I'm assuming you've been doing like the no head stuff. Are you up to that part in the lessons yet?
No, I'm not, but I did start reading Douglas Harding's On Having No Head.
Yeah. So it's pretty much that kind of stuff. And man, that's the closest I reckon I've come to, like taking acid without actually having any acid, is sitting there and focusing on an object and then trying to suddenly switch the perspective. So you're actually at the object, looking at your own consciousness, perceiving it. I mean, you don't, I'm sure people get quite close. I don't even get 0.01% of the way there, but that 0.01% is enough to make me go, what the fuck? Like some this is absolutely nuts, and I find these are all kind of little hacks people have kind of come up with to get that oneness. And I guess it ultimately comes down to the whole free will aspect of things. Is shit's just happening all the time, and you or your consciousness or you inside your consciousness is just kind of part of it,
Right.
Which can be incredibly calming.
Do Yeah.
So
I mean,
you've been keeping it up. You've been doing it.
So I'll go through. Yeah, I'm on about day 30 now in the app.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. I'm really, really happy to hear that. Like it's really, 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 really cool.
Yeah, but I've had a few breaks. So like I'll do it for like 2 weeks straight, and then there'll be like a few weeks where I just forget to do it or I just don't do it. And then I'll do it again for like a few days, and then a few days I won't, and so on and so forth. Currently, I've been doing it every day for the last like 4 or 5 days or something like that. I mean, the thing I like about it is it's not a huge investment of time. It's like 10 to 20 minutes. And it's funny, man, because it's like even in that 10 to 20 minutes, you can feel these fucking nags of like wanting to look at your phone or wanting it to stop so you can go do other things, or just, and it's crazy to me to think that, because I'm just like, fuck, it's like not that much time. It's like 10 minutes, like that's nothing. But
well, it's not actually nothing. I mean, compared to like what you were doing before, or what the majority of people do who don't practice anything like this. I mean, when have you had 10 minutes to do, I'm not going to say nothing because it's not doing nothing, but just be, I mean, that's huge compared to not ever doing it.
Yeah, it's a good point, because it is like a lot of people would say that they're just sitting there doing nothing when they're just sitting there at their computer or whatever. But I feel like there's a big difference between sitting there and paying attention to how you're feeling and paying attention to the things coming into your consciousness versus sitting there being bored or sitting there being distracted by something that you're trying to distract you. Like sitting there being distracted by something, which is exactly what social media is basically, is literally the fucking polar opposite of what meditation is, I feel like. Because it's like you're literally just sitting there or scrolling through apps. Like, if you probably have done this before. I do it fucking all the time. I'll just sort of like be flicking through the same like 4 or 5 apps on my phone laying in bed or something.
Then you'll get up to your computer and like check Reddit and Facebook all over again, just on a different medium. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's if you look into like what you're doing, if you like, I mean, I don't know if this is why you do this, but if I actually like inspect like what it is that I'm doing, at the core of it, it's distracting myself from my feelings. It's basically me just not trying to do something to just like make my feelings go away, it seems like.
Yeah, I guess I haven't really thought too much into my take on that, but yeah, that does make a lot of sense. I mean, I'm such a low tier noob when it comes to meditation as well, but the one of the kind of checkpoints, I think everyone has their own little personal milestones of I'm actually getting this, was that feeling of when you do actually get distracted or whatever, and you're aware of it. That's kind of the practice itself, if I start thinking about something and then I'm like, I'm thinking about something, and then you kind of place that thought into a spot and you think about where it came from, you think about where the thought's going, and you kind of like, without any kind of judgment, like, oh, fuck, I'm thinking about, like boobs again or something. Like, it's just, that's actually the practice itself. And yeah, it's changed my life, man. It's changed my life.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's changed my life as well. I like the way Dan Harris puts it. Who I don't know if Dan Harris is related to Sam Harris, but
I think they're brothers, aren't they?
They might be, but I like how he basically says you just try and sit and be with your feelings, and as soon as a thought comes into your mind, just observe it. Try and let it go, and then try and start again with just concentrating on your breath. And it's like each time you do that is a little bicep curl for your brain.
That's it. Yeah, the little bicep curl for your brain. Like, yeah, they're not related, by the way. So just to clarify that.
Oh, did you Google it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I have Google. Yeah, no, I'm really stoked, because I started doing it. I went off to an island in New Zealand in November. I had some free time and I stayed by myself for a couple of months. Nothing was wrong. I just wanted to really wanted to just dissect a lot of stuff and see what was going on, and see how I acted, hang out with myself like I was somebody else. Look at how I treated other people, how I used my words. A big focus on how how truthful I was being to myself, whether I was telling myself any lies that I was believing, because I'm quite conscious of that. I feel like that's something you can like really like brick your brain into. And I just was like, I'm going to start meditating every day and doing yoga, which really, really helped me. Those two combos are really, really good. And it's literally changed my life. It's just made it so much better. And I'm not a preacher of it. I don't, I guess I'm talking about it on a public podcast right now. But, every now and then I'll come across a friend or someone who I'll be like, I think they'd really dig this. And I'll kind of casually mention it. And, half a dozen have come back and just same kind of feelings as I've had. It's just like, yeah, this shit is working. And it's just so cool. It's just so cool.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I've definitely had positive experiences with it. The biggest takeaway I've had from it so far, and I'm the same as you, I've only been doing it for a little while, so I don't know a lot about it, but the biggest takeaway I have from it is it's just so easy, or not so easy, it's actually still quite hard, but it's a lot easier, or I'm at least a lot better leveraged to deal with just feelings that come up in day-to-day life, right? It's kind of like whatever comes up, I'm able to sort of just, and I still don't do this every time, but there's more of a chance of me now than ever seeing it come up as just something that's just showing up in consciousness, rather than being identified by it and attached to it, and then being like, okay, I have to act based on these like impulsive things that are just showing up.
It's like you've got this, you get this switch, that becomes more and more powerful. And, I don't flick my switch nearly enough, but, there's sometimes now where I'm just like, I don't have to feel like this right now. Mm-hmm. And you flick the switch and, maybe you might not get rid of it, but, at least you can give yourself a little bit of a break. You might be thinking black and white, especially with anger and anxiety. I get quite black and white, and, there's absolutely no resolution. It's just yin yang, bad, whatever, good. And this way I can just be like, flick a switch, sit there for a second, and I still might not make the right decision based on what's happening, but I just have that little extra life hack. And from what I've seen, you can get really, really good at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you're into it, man. Really good. And just people listening, the app is called Waking Up by Sam Harris. Maybe you could post, Bill, you could post the 1 month free trial link, because I think, if one of us posts the link, the people can get 1 month. And my recommendation is the people who have done it, that I know, I say stick to day 6. Like 1 to 5 can be a little bit annoying, but around day 5 or 6, that's when I had my first kind of like, oh shit, there's something here moment. And that was enough to excite me to keep going and going. And yeah, throughout there's just random checkpoints will just kind of come in and be and kind of reinforce what you're doing. And he's really cool. He's a neuroscientist. You can do the guided meditations, and then you can go and he'll talk about why they work, what's going on. He talks to you like you're an intellectual. There's no hippie shanty kind of stuff. There's none of this spirituality kind of talk. So it's really, really, really good for active people, I reckon.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, the moment I had with meditation, I think that really switched me onto it was that I was talking to you on the night that it happened. I did like a pretty solid dose of mushrooms at home by myself.
I remember that night, man. I was loving it. You were sending me some of the coolest messages. I had shit to do, man. I stopped just so I could like leave my chat open, and like you're like, I'm going back into the room for 10 minutes. I'll come back out. And then 45 minutes later, like, I'm going to go back in for another hour.
Dude, I meditated on mushrooms that night for like a couple of hours, I think, or like a long time. And I don't know. Yeah, I was just having a really good time with it. Just like, I mean, obviously like mushrooms in general make you feel euphoric anyway. So I was just kind of sitting there feeling euphoric, and that was like enough to just, well, the thing is like feeling euphoric, it's almost just fun to sit there doing nothing and just feel euphoric, right? Like you don't need anything else coming in for that to be
Absolutely.
fun. But then to also like switch your whole fucking perception basically onto concentrating and like going inwards and stuff, it just like made all of that way more intense. So I was like, oh, this is basically like mushrooms on fucking crack. It's like the best shit.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you know, if you had something which is, you know, like really kind of dopamine, serotonin boosting, you know, you could, you know, if you have a press pill and you're sitting under a tree and there's wind and you can feel it and you can just sit there and just feel the joy of like the breeze and the scene around you. But, you know, with kind of psychedelics, usually when you go inwards, it's usually an involuntary inwards. So suddenly you just start thinking about your own ego and your own psyche. But this way you can kind of take it and you can jump in with a bit of a toolkit and have a poke around. And yeah, I haven't actually done that myself, but I'm very much looking forward to trying that. Not that I take psychedelics very much these days, but
yeah. Actually, Sam Harris has a video on his YouTube about an experience he had where he ate a heroic dose of mushrooms and blindfolded himself for the entire experience. I think he did it pretty recently too, and he's such an articulate dude that it's really interesting to listen to. It's about a 20-minute or 25-minute just monologue of him talking about his experience, and because he's so articulate, it's like I don't think anyone has really described like what that like listening to him describe that experience. It makes me feel like I understand it a lot better than ever hearing, say, Terence McKenna speak about it.
I mean, and, you know, like Terence McKenna, you know, definitely had his own very poetic way of, you know, bringing the concepts of, you know, I mean, we've all had friends who have tried to explain their DMT or ayahuasca experience, and it never works. I mean, there's the closest you can get.
It cheapens it, right?
The closest you can get is, you know, you might be around some people and someone's like, who's done DMT? And, you know, a few people will be like, I have. And then you just kind of look around and look at them in the eyes and you'll just kind of nod and be like, yep, you know, but there's no way we're ever going to be able to have a conversation to relate our experiences. Dennis McKenna is really interesting to listen to if you haven't. Dennis was
I think I heard him on the
brother.
Joe Rogan podcast, I think.
Yeah, right. He seems to speak a little bit more scientifically about the adventures that they had and things like that. I quite enjoy listening to him. The other thing about the Sam thing, which I was talking to someone the other day, is I mean, the fact that he's, you know, respected. Is he one of the, what do they call them, the dark web intellectuals, or what's the?
Oh yeah, the intellectual, the IDW.
Yeah, something like that. So I mean, I believe him. You know, there's people who it's really nice to listen to them speak because you know what they're talking about and you don't have to put up filters and think, oh, I need to cross-check things, you know. And it's just really nice 10 minutes a day having a smart, nice guy with really genuine motives to help you be a better person. It's just 10 minutes a day having that kind of truthful, authoritative, well-articulated figure speak to you. I think that alone just puts a pep in your step, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there's something very comforting about listening to someone who's that articulate, right? Because just to know that there is like that it's possible to attain that level of self-awareness, it makes you feel a lot less anxious, I think.
Totally. Yeah, cool, I'm glad I look forward to hearing your adventures and catching up down the line and seeing where you're at with it. And I hope some people listening give it a try. Not preaching it, you know, but if you want to have a little bit of a trip, give it a go. Stick to day number 6.
Yeah, for sure. Cool,
this
man.
This is not sponsored.
Fuck yeah. Well, it was fucking awesome having you on, man. I think we should cut it there because that's like 80 minutes.
I've got a couple of things I want to do here.
Yeah, what's up?
I would like to, because we've done this a few times at parties and you always have such good responses. I would like to play Would You Rather. Can we do that to finish off?
Yeah.
I've come up with a few here. I'm sure you've got a few in your arsenal, or you can make them up on the spot. And also, I know you, Bill, and you have the ability to like dissect these incredibly quickly until the question becomes completely null and not actually askable. So you're not allowed to do that. If you do that, I will set some more restrictions. All right, very simple. Would you rather have 10 cents for every beat played in Ableton and this is while producing or performing, so not just leaving it on overnight, or 50 cents for every snare you ever hear. And this is in the track, not when you're going through sample collections. You can't automate it. You can't just set snares playing all the time.
Is the so beats like one bar? So I can't set the subdivision to like 128 or.
No, you can't do that. So let's say four per bar, and we're in 4/4. And the BPM restriction is 60 to 180.
Okay. And so it's 10 cents per. So let's say I listen to a 100 bar song, I get $1. Wait, no, $10.
You get $10, yeah.
Okay, but if I just listen to snare sample packs on repeat, I get 50
No, you
cents
can't
each.
listen to snare sample packs on repeat. It has to be when you're producing. So when you're like going over a loop and the snares are just playing in the background, or if you're at a party, or if you're performing. So naturally occurring snares. You can't adjust your producing habits to make money out of this.
Okay, so 4 beats, so 4 bars is 40 cents.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same amount of time, 2 snares, which will have happened in that amount of time usually, will be $1. So I'm going to go the snares.
Okay, so but what about if you spend 8 hours working on kind of like a breakdown or some chords or something, then you're missing out on heaps of snares there.
Or heaps of, yeah, that's true. I think I'd still go the snares because I think I write. Well, imagine if you were Venetian snares. Like how
imagine, he'd rich, absolutely rich.
He'd be making so much money.
All right. Well, let's roll with 50 cents a snare. That's a good answer. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I got a few of these. I hope that's okay. You can cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's fine.
Would you rather ever only use a low-pass filter with 0% resonance? So this is the only filter you can use. You can't use any other type of filter. A low-pass with 0% resonance, or band, notch, and high-pass with any resonance you want.
I would go the 3 types rather than the 1 type.
You go the 3 types, all right? Because you'd probably figure some way to like reverse the.
You do some phase stuff. Or,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because you could do. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think band passing and notching and stuff like that you gain a lot more from those than just low pass.
Okay.
But yeah, I do agree that low pass, like you use a lot more than the other 3 types for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Would you prefer to have a nipple-sized dick or dick-sized nipples?
Dick-sized nipples or a nipple-sized dick?
And and your nipples get hard if you.
Really? Could they ejaculate?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely nipple-sized dicks, man. I would. I can already think of 10 ways I can utilize that, so that's fine.
Fair enough.
Would you rather have someone? Okay, let's say you have a problem, and would you rather have someone ghostwrite all of Mr. Bill's tunes, but nobody ever knew, or you wrote all of your own tunes, but 51% of your fan base thought without any doubt that someone was ghostwriting for you?
Oh, for sure. I would just prefer to write my own tunes and have my fan base think that they're being written for me. Because for starters, there's so many ways to disprove it. I mean, let's assume that there isn't. Because
no. We have to assume that these 51% people will always be adamant without being able to change their mind whatsoever.
Yeah, I'd still be fine with it because I think for the most part, what's more important to me, and are you saying in the ghostwriting one in that instance, I'm not allowed to write music?
No, like let's say you took mushrooms and one day you're completely inept at writing music.
Oh, and then I just have to get someone to ghostwrite for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd take the write my own music route still because I think the fulfillment that I get from it is more important than what people think.
Gotcha. I got a few more if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I love this game. Yeah, I'm trying to keep going.
Okay.
I didn't prepare any for you, but if I think of any, I mean, there's the classic like, would you prefer to fight a duck-sized horse or is it a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? Which would you prefer to fight?
It is a common one, but I don't think I've actually thought about it before. I mean, is the result to win? I don't know.
Yeah, you can't evade it. you have to fight. So you're either fighting
I
lots
reckon
of...
I'd fight a duck-sized horse. I reckon you've got a pretty long, vulnerable neck. The beak would be at a size where it would do pretty significant damage.
Let's just say that you can't use a weapon either. It's like a fist fight kind of thing.
Yeah, I reckon you just like jump straight at the neck and just grasp and just take it to the ground, and then maybe just wait it out until it's died of thirst or hunger. Like, I reckon the weight of the human body could pin down a horse-sized duck. I reckon that would be the way.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, duck-sized horses are pretty strong, man. Like, if you had ducks with like horsepower fucking legs and stuff, I reckon you'd get wrecked real quick.
Dude, imagine if you had like an ant that was the size of like a pit bull. That shit would be real strong, I think.
I mean, is there a colony? Are they able to like put out pheromones and get their buddies to come along? Because, ants the size of ants scare me, man. If I like accidentally step on them, I'm like, oh man, all their buddies are going to come soon and be real pissed. Especially in Australia.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm just thinking like one dog-sized ant.
One dog-sized ant.
It's not like verse anything. That's
pretty goddamn terrifying, to be honest. Yeah. I'll agree with you there.
Right.
Okay, would you rather have synesthesia where you could see frequency as color? So the resolution of a new color, you'd have a new color per each semitone on the Western scale, or you see colors, especially palettes like sunsets, like gradients. You'd actually see those, and you'd hear them as like beautiful audio drones that perfectly match up to how it looks. So the sky or the ocean.
But that would be kind of hellish, right? Like walking through the fruit section at the supermarket or something.
Let's say, like, remove the scattery ones. Let's just say, like desert landscapes or things that look really, really nice. Would you like to be able to hear like a perfect audio equivalent soundtrack of a nice kind of drone?
Or would I prefer to have synesthesia?
Yeah, we saw each individual notes as colors.
I think I'd prefer to have the landscape palette one, because I think that would be more like artistically inspiring, and I don't really see the other synesthesia as like that useful, really.
Do you have any form of synesthesia you've come across?
So synesthesia actually does not just relate to color with notes. It relates to just any two emotions or feelings, I think, sort of coinciding and mingling with each other.
What's the word with visual? There's like a specific kind of sthesia for audio and visual.
Oh, it's chromesthesia, right?
Chromesthesia, that's the one. It's a cool word.
So would I prefer to have chromesthesia or this other special thing?
Yeah.
Probably the other one, I think. For the reason I said before, I just think it'd be more inspiring, and I think, I went on a hike
both
today.
of them. Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, like, I went on a hike today and saw some like amazing views, and if they were accompanied by like big luscious pads and shit, like, that would have been pretty impressive.
And if you had the other one, then you could go home and you could figure out the exact gradients that you saw. You could take a picture and then you could recreate the drone much easier.
True, but I think I have a pretty decent memory as well. Like I can usually like hear a thing in my head, and then if I am not at my computer or not at home, I can usually like still imagine it like a week later and still make it.
Mm-hmm. A few more here, unless you've got any for me.
If I think of one, I'll ask. I can't think of them.
Right.
You should have told me we were doing this. I would have prepared some.
No way would I have told you. All right. Would you rather get an extra $50K budget to spend on whatever you want in your studio, or have a live active shark as one of your arms?
Wait, what? Would I prefer to have 50 grand or a shark arm?
Yeah.
Fucking 50 grand, dude. Why would I want a shark arm?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. This is your question. Like, shark arm? I mean, you could probably make 50K from like a couple of good news tabloids with a shark arm.
Yeah, but then
I think like masturbating would be a bit of a fucking weird thing, though.
You're stuck with a shark arm. It's like, imagine like going to the theater and the shark's like hissing and shit, and person behind you's like, "Hey, can you shut your arm up?"
The sharks hiss. You probably have to keep it in water as well, so you need to get like a custom aquarium kind of outfit.
Right. Yeah. It's like they'll have to make like a whole new disabled area for you at all these places. That's literally just like a seat at the theater next to a like blow up kiddie pool or something.
Yeah. Yeah. There'd probably be quite a few more problems before we start getting to the stage we can go out in public. Okay, another few quick ones.
First thing I would do with shark arm is try and see how the theater worked out for me.
Yeah. Oh, I've got an arm for a shark. Let's go see the latest Marvel movie. Yeah. Okay, would you rather know everything about Mix for Live in an instant, or come up with a special tone or timbre that renders everyone into a subconscious and highly subjective state until the tone is stopped? You are immune to the tone.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, I'd probably go with the tone because Max for Live stuff seems like it can be learned, but this tone thing seems pretty fucking unique.
What would you do with this new super tone? Everyone just like kind of like stops and stands there, and just like anything you say to them is a fact, and they will not disagree with it, or it's a mind control kind of thing. Would you do good?
Yeah, I mean, so how do I emit it? Can I just emit it like at will from my body or something?
No, let's say it's something you came up with and like you actually have to play it over a loudspeaker somehow.
Okay. So it's probably pretty useless unless you're always carrying around a Bluetooth speaker or something.
Or you could just, drop it at one of your biggest gigs and, suddenly just have like 10,000 people just suddenly quiet and standing there.
I'd probably like take it to one of these protests and just let it out and convince all the cops that they're fucking dumb.
Right.
Dude, I went to a protest yesterday actually at San Francisco City Hall. Yeah, it was crazy.
How's that all gone? I've kind of kept it a little bit out of the news recently, but man, I can't help but see how fucked things are at the moment.
Yeah, so I shut my website down today.
Did you? Is that a solitude kind of statement?
Mm-hmm, yeah, the hashtag the show must be paused thing. And then Bandcamp's doing a fee-free day thing on June 5th. So all the money I make from that fee-free day, I'm going to donate to like, I don't know, some charity.
Oh, that's cool. I'm going to join you on that.
Yeah, you should. But yeah, I went down to San Francisco City Hall with Jan and we just hung out for a bit. And dude, there was like a lot of fucking military riot gear police standing around. And yeah, it was pretty chill while I was there, but I think like towards the end, because they just put all these curfews in place too, right? So like we're not allowed to go outside after 8 p.m. and shit. And obviously the protest went until after 8 p.m. So I think once that happened, police started enforcing people to move along. And did you see the one at the White House where there was a bunch of people out the front or something? I'm not exactly sure what happened. And then Donald Trump he wanted to take a photo out the front of the White House to be like, look, I'm not scared of protesters. So he got his police to like tear gas them all.
It was outside of a church close to the White House, right? And if I remember correctly, the bishop at the church was unaware of it and it was really, really distraught about it. That he went for this photo op at the church, basically saying things that go completely against the teaching of Jesus. That's this is a little bit not okay.
Oh, it's super not okay. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway,
I've got two more.
All right.
I've got two more. These are I love that you always have really good answers for these, man. I don't really play this with anyone else. I won't say that one. I've already done that one. We'll do another sound one. Would you rather only ever use an FM synth where the algorithm option is 3 modulators feeding into each other sequentially and then into a carrier, or 2 modulators feeding into the third modulator and then into the carrier? So, a pretty standard.
Yeah,
Let's say,
so if you were like looking at the shapes in Operator, like would this be sort of like the T shape and then the square shape, or?
No, it would be the single one long line one where, like oscillator A produces the sound and B changes A and C changes B,
Yeah.
or
Okay,
would you
so,
want
so the long line one or what?
or the T-shaped one? So oscillator B changes A, but both C and D change B.
Yeah. I'd probably go the long line one, I think.
Long line one. Okay.
I think so, yeah. It
Yeah.
seems normal
It's a
to
hard
me.
one, that one, man, because I don't know, even after all these years and understanding FM synthesis and teaching it a bunch of times, it's just got that, exponential component of complexity where, you just can't really explain to people how to get a certain sound beyond like a percussive sound or whatever, just because such a small change, including the algorithm, can change so much. That's why
Well,
I
I think that misses the point of sound design, though. Like, sound design is an exploratory thing, and I think it should always be that way. And I think the same about music. It's like you can explain to some degree like what range a chord progression is going to have in terms of its feeling, or like what range a type of sound is going to have with its design premise.
correct.
But it's always going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge, whatever comes out the other end. But I will say the optimal mode for operator to be on is the square one, I think, because then you get two outputs and two modulators.
That's definitely my favorite, I think. But then again, you could just load up two FM synths with you could just put them into an instrument rack with the full.
That's true.
Is it parallel or series? I always fuck that up.
Parallel series is next to each other.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather be completely tone deaf or lose the ability to orgasm?
Oh shit. I'd probably. Oh, man, that's a really hard one. I'd probably go without the orgasms, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Because being tone deaf just means you can't sing the notes on key, right?
I kind of wrote that in the sense of, listening to music was like quite uncomfortable for you. Producing it was uncomfortable. So you know how that some people get complexes where, they just can't, they can't hear the beauty of melody and harmony.
Yeah, I mean, so long as like hearing the beauty in that didn't stop giving me goosebumps sometimes and like making me kind of feel really good, and so long as I could keep producing music and all of that kind of stuff, I think that's more important to me than having orgasms, actually.
Awesome. And you killed two birds because then you've kind of created a form of contraception as well. Okay, the very last two, I promise. Would you rather be surrounded by people who brag about their music all the time or people who complain about their music all the time?
Probably people who complain about their music all the time. And the reason why is because I think I remember reading somewhere that pessimists are slightly more in tune with reality than optimists in their just the shit that they say. So I just prefer to be around people who are slightly more in tune with reality.
And the very last one. Would you rather be... I'm quite proud of this one. I'm quite happy with this one. Would you rather be able to travel back in time 10 years to give yourself production tips for 1 hour, or have yourself from 30 years come back right now and give you tips for 1 hour?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a good question, because if me went back 10 years ago and was like, here's what you got to do, man, stop fucking around. I think current me could be, somewhere else.
You think you guys would have a fight? Maybe a fist fight? You can't tell me what to do.
No, yeah, no.
You old fuck.
Current me is like, hey man, trust it. We get over the anxiety. It's fine. And like, here, just listen to me. And old me is too busy having an anxiety attack to input any new information at that time.
But do you reckon in 30 years, like, who you are would be somebody that you would want to listen to right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think honestly, I think so. I always think that current me always thinks that past me was a fucking idiot, and future me seems to always think that current me is an idiot. So
future me will continue to think that current. Okay, gotcha. How often do you compare yourself to yourself?
All the time.
All the time. Do you compare yourself to others very much?
Yeah, I would say so, actually. Like, not as unhealthy of an amount as I have in the past, but yeah, I definitely do. But I
you
think,
think-
sorry, go on.
Well, I mean, a lot of people say, never compare yourself to others. Try to compare yourself to who you were or who you want to be. And that sounds good in theory, but I mean, I've been trying it as well. How have you actually found that? Do you think life is better when you don't compare yourself to others?
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
say someone's doing something awesome and you're like, motherfucker, like I want to be doing that, or, I want to be like them, or,
So
I wish
here's what I have a line that I tell myself every time I feel that way.
Ooh, a
And
mantra.
that is, it's a mantra.
Yeah.
And that is, if you can't be grateful for what you've got, you'll never be grateful for what you get.
You can't be grateful for what you've got. You'll never be grateful for what you get. I like it.
Yeah. It's basically a way of saying, like, yes, you don't have what that person has, but if you can't appreciate what you have now, then even when you have what that person has, you're still going to be doing the same thing, but about a different thing and a different person, right?
What about if that person has time in order to develop a better strategy to appreciate what they've currently got? Okay, that's getting a little bit too twisted. Is that your own quote, or is that from someone
I actually
that
think
you've
I
heard?
remember seeing. I think I remember seeing Opio tweet it like 5 years ago, and I was just like, he tweeted it at like just a time when I needed to hear it too, and it like fixed my whole fucking perception for a little while, and I was like, it's a great line, and I'm not sure
That's
if
awesome.
I don't know if he made it up or if he just read it somewhere and retweeted it, but either way,
Have you told him that?
I don't think so. I should get him on the podcast though.
You should tell him that, man. Like that's, I love hearing shit like that. And I know him, and you do too. He would love to know that something he probably just said in passing has affected you like that. Old guru Opio. Okay, that's all I've got for the Would You Rather.
Nice. Yeah, I wish you had told me so I could have prepared some. I usually
No, man, I fucking hate being asked them, so I like got on the sly there. I was going to give
really?
a disclaimer to say you're not allowed to actually ask any of these questions back to me.
Okay. Why do you not like being asked those questions?
Well, I mean, I do, but when people think about them and they know, I mean, you actually know me a lot better than quite a lot of people. Like I reckon, there's probably 10, 20 people in the world that know how my brain works, and you're one of them. I don't know why it's come to that, but you do. So I'd be a little bit worried about the questions that you'd hit me.
Right. Like ask you some shit that just like leaves you in thought for like a week and a half or something.
Totally. I thought you have that power over me, but you never tend to abuse it. So I didn't want to give you an opportunity to try.
Yeah, like on a public space. For sure. Cool, man. Well, fuck, I probably should sleep. I'm pretty fucked, to be honest. I went for I think I hiked further today than I've ever hiked, which is not even that far. It was like 7.5 miles or something. But yeah.
That's a good stint, man. Like with elevation.
Yeah, well,
Like,
it wasn't like big elevation like Colorado or whatever, but it was like there was a lot of hills for sure.
Was it just you or did Jan or?
Yeah, it was me and Jan. We went to Stinson Beach, which is like in California, and there's just like a big cool trail there that we walked on. It was actually called Matt Davis Trail, and the reason I picked it is because that's the name of my acoustician, and I just looked at it on a map and was like, Matt Davis Trail, perfect. So I went and hiked it. It was good.
How good are they, man? How good are they? Especially with someone that you're emotionally connected to. I think it's.
Dude, yeah, hikes are great. I'd love to go hiking with you. Let's do it at some point.
Let's do it. I'm off on a big one this Saturday, so I'm looking forward to it. Let's do it, man.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Fuck.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, man. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah. I've been wanting to be on these for a while, and it's been really cool. I think you're cool, Bill.
I think you're cool too, man.
I think you're a real cool guy. I think you're doing cool shit, and I reckon you're changing the world of production more than you think you are. So keep it up.
Thank you. Hey, thanks for listening to the Mr. Bill podcast. These episodes are edited and uploaded twice a week by Robert Fumo of 303podpro.com. You can also support the show, get early access to episodes, and hear bonus content by going to patreon.com/Mr. Bill's Tunes and becoming a patron. Please rate and review on iTunes unless you're going to be a little shit about it. And all the links to my various platforms are at MrBillsTunes.com. Thank you.